Hey everyone! Guess what I got in the mail today? At first, I had no idea either. I got this mystery package in the mail today, and it has Japanese characters all over it. And then I realized that it says pens, and it made me remember that I'd ordered something off Amazon for us to try out ages ago, and it's finally here. So let's open it up and check out what we got. In my mystery package from Japan was 3 uni-ball Signo white gel pens. And these were the legitimate Japanese versions of them too. Now I order so much off Amazon these days that I must just not have realized where they were being shipped from. Plus, this was Amazon Prime, which is super weird because they easily took about 6 weeks to get to me. Anyway, I'm really glad that they're here now. I've heard amazingly good things about these and have seen lots of art videos on how well these go on right over your colored pencils. So I've been dying to give them a try and see if they might even be a good replacement for my Posca pens. Let's give these a quick test on an already completed page just to see kind of how they work. Let's try one on Persephone. Did you guys see the name announcement of our mermaid here from last week? This is Persephone and Brad. Together forever. So this pen is going on very smooth. It isn't as bright or as opaque as I was hoping that it would be, but I'm going to reserve judgment until I can try it out some more. So what do you guys say we use this on a page today? Now the page I want to do today is a double spread from Mythomorphia. It's a flying deer, magical creature, I don't know. But we'll use our Signo Gel Pens. And we're also going to use the Sarah Renee Clark color catalog again. I really do like this, and if you want to check one out for yourself, follow the link in the description below. So I've actually already gone through the options, and I've kind of isolated myself down to a few. And some of these I really do like, and I think that they would work on our page. But since the white gel pen I think would work best on dark colors and kind of really pop off the page better, I think I'm going to narrow down my options to the darker color palettes. And I think I'm going to actually in the end go with this one here. It's palette number 215 and has these beautiful kind of smoky colors to it. And we've got a deep kind of dark blue charcoal color, a slate blue gray color, a golden yellow, some pumpkin orange, and some reddish plum. Now there's a nice range of colors here, and I think that these are going to actually suit our page very nicely. And I've chosen some pencils from my Prismacolor, Faber-Castell, and Crayola sets that should work out nicely, that should match pretty well. Now the whole point of this page is to get to use our white gel pen, which of course I like to do at the end after I put down all my colored pencil layers. And now that I'm thinking about it in hindsight, I'm not sure why I went with a double spread since they take so much longer. But as a result, I'm not going to be spending too much time kind of taking you through those little details of the actual kind of coloring techniques and the tutorial process around that. But I am going to take you through my color choosing process to start us off with. And for me, based on the plan that I have later for our white gel pen, I knew that I wanted to start off kind of reserving my darker colors for the background sky and the terrain. So for us, that's that charcoal blue and that slate blue, leaving the lighter colors completely available for us to use on this flying deer thing. You know what? Let's name him Fred. Let's name him Fred so that we don't have to keep calling him the flying deer thing. He looks like a Fred, right? So that leaves the yellows, the oranges, and the plum colors for us to experiment with on Fred. So for some reason, with how this coloring book artist draws in those lines of areas to be shaded, I just can't seem to bring myself to use light colors there. Like for me, that's where you put the dark colors. So my thought immediately went to using my yellow colors for his underbody and where those kind of more open areas are on him. And then focusing kind of the orange and the plum colors on those overlapping scale areas, which honestly was my favorite part of this page to color. And while it was incredibly tedious and took lots and lots and lots and lots of pencil sharpening, I just love the way that the colors on Fred came out. Now, when I blended everything together, which I did with just a dry cotton swab, there were colors that kind of migrated in the most beautiful way. The oranges kind of made the yellow areas like a bit pink, which I thought looked just lovely. And some of the plum areas actually blended out to look a bit lavender, which was completely unintentional, but I really liked it. It was kind of a happy accident. Oh, and I love, love, love coloring these little wispy cloud shape that this artist draws. I can't get enough of them, which is good because he pretty much puts them on every single page. Now I'm going to leave Fred alone for now. I haven't colored his horns or his antlers yet, but only because I'm not exactly sure what I want to do with them yet, so I can always come back to those. For the rest of the page, I want to create a night scene. And since we're working with kind of our limited color palette, I thought it'd be fun to color the terrain as though it were very, very dark outside. So we'll be using the blues and the charcoal blues that we pulled, even some blacks, and I'm cheating a little bit, and I pulled some grays to help us in those areas as well. And in full disclosure, I've never done this before actually. So I'm not quite sure what I'm doing, but that's okay because I like to experiment with new things. And after I colored kind of this first outcropping, I decided to blend it and add just a tinge of baby oil. And boy, do I regret it. It just turned out like mud. It kind of chewed up the paper a little bit. So when I went to the next outcropping, I kept my cotton swab dry and I liked the way that it blended out much better. And thankfully, the one that I did with the baby oil, it doesn't stand out like a sore thumb too much. I mean, if you look closely, you can completely tell. But yeah, what's up with kind of the inconsistent results that I'm getting with baby oil lately? I used to love using baby oil to blend. It's making me a bit gun shy to use it. I don't know why. I don't know why I'm having such trouble with it. Now for the sky itself, that's just a foundational layer of dark indigo that I just kind of put all over the page. It is a little bit difficult to cover these kind of large swath areas without showing your pencil lines too much. So I know it's tough. I like to use kind of circular strokes as much as I can, but I am just as susceptible as the next person to kind of go to that just real quick, lines back and forth kind of attempt. But it will blend out in the end. But, if you can use circular strokes, it'll kind of help to mitigate that. And then I put down a little kiss of black cherry down at the bottom just to give it a little bit of interest. Then I blended all of that out with a dry cotton swab. All right, we're finally at the point where we can use our Signo Gel Pen. And what do I have up my sleeve? Do you guys have any guesses? We're going to do constellations. Now, you all know how much I love to put stars into the backgrounds of my coloring pages, but I've never actually created constellations with them. So I'm just going to pull up some references on Pinterest. And I'm just going to kind of do my best on the shapes here. It's actually a little bit tougher than I thought to like really, really make these, dead on to what I think they should look like. And I'm not really going for like a realistic night sky or anything. I'm not putting constellations next to the ones that, should be next to one another. I'm sure I'm mixing northern hemisphere constellations with southern hemisphere constellations. It doesn't really matter. It's just for fun. And some areas of stars are actually hidden behind Fred. So you kind of have to do your best and just kind of pretend that those stars are there and just make those little connection points. And I actually debated on whether or not I wanted to put in extra stars around the constellations, that weren't connected, but I kind of decided against it only because I did not want to detract from the originals. And I just have to put Taurus up here in the corner. That is my sign. I love constellations. I actually took an astronomy class in high school, and we used to play that game around the world with flashcards that had constellations on them. And you either had to say the English name or the Latin name, and you kind of go around to everybody's desk in order to kind of be the one that got to play next. By the way, guys, I was a guest on a podcast. I'll leave a link in the description below if any of you want to check it out. It was Anthony's podcast, My Significant Other, but it's still a podcast. It still counts. I talk a lot about the kind of behind the scenes stuff of being a YouTuber, a little bit about how I got started, a little bit about my equipment, that sort of thing. So if you're interested, I will leave a link in the description for you to check it out. Now, after all the constellations were done, I took the opportunity to use this amazing gel pen even more. I put some highlights in on the rocks, and I also did my kind of Morse code, little dots and dashes on Fred's wispy hair clouds. Now, to talk a little bit about the gel pen in general, it was well worth the wait that it took to get it in the mail. And I have to admit, I think I like it better than my white Posca pen for adding in these kinds of marks. I like the fact that it's thinner, so I can kind of get into, some of those smaller spaces. Although there are a lot of different sizes of the Posca pen, and my thinner one is a little bit dried up, so I kind of only have the big one to work with. But the gel pen is even thinner, I think, than some of those Posca pens. I also like that it holds its color. Now, something that the Posca pen can actually do is that it can actually pick up the color from underneath. It kind of like the paint of it actually sucks up the pigment from the colored pencil, and it can kind of tinge the white with like a little bit of pink or blue or whatever color was underneath it, which defeats the purpose because I purposely wanted it white. And this Signo Gel Pen, it just lays down really nicely over top. It doesn't pick up any of that color. I do wish it was just a teensy bit brighter. It is nice and bright, but just a teensy bit brighter would be awesome. It would just make it stand out even more. But I really can't complain. I think it came out great. And I'm very glad to add these gel pens to my arsenal. That's it for me today, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. If so, hit that like button, comment and subscribe, and don't forget to check out the links that I have down below to the Sarah Renee Clark color catalog and the podcast that I'm on. And I will see you all next time. Bye-bye.